If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkill's tutorial guides from Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below. All right, you guys, so as we get into this, first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about who and what Authentikit is and the services they provide. They have both a DIY from start to finish, as well as they have kit options that you only have to assemble once everything is arrived at your door. Now, even the assembly, guys, is compared to that of a Lego kit. So if you are comfortable assembling Legos, you'll be perfectly fine with Authentikit options. So we're going to talk about the free option to you if you want to be the person to go out and sort of buy everything yourself, 3D print it yourself, or you know someone with a 3D printer. And then we're going to talk about the payware services they provide if you want all of that done for you, as well as the shopping of the parts and hardware. So without any further delay, guys, let's get into it. All right, so before we get into the assembly of everything, let's talk about a few things, guys. And I highly recommend that you do not skip ahead in this particular portion, as you're going to get a lot of information about what Authentikit is, what your options are, what the build expectation should be, and whether or not you are someone who can put this stuff together, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised that just about anybody can do this. So please stick around with me, because there's going to be a lot coming at you. I'm going to do my best to keep it short and concise, but I may ramble a little bit because it's new to me too. So first, let's talk about what is Authentikit. Well, essentially, Authentikit is a community now, is a community-driven production team that offers free hardware listing, 3D printing CAD files for creating flight simulation hardware that are very specific to a specific aircraft. So they really go for authenticity with a particular aircraft. So let's talk about the free option, because they have both a free wall and a pay wall, depending on which way you go, your skill level and your available resources. So first off, if you are someone who either A, knows somebody, or you yourself are very good with a 3D printer, you're already going to save quite a bit of money right here. So first, let's talk about this line right here at the bottom. Authentikit is a freeware. All flight controls developed by members of the Authentikit community are provided as free downloads of CAD files for 3D printing, along with assembly guides and parts lists easy for self-assembly. If you don't have a 3D printer, this is where the paywall comes in. There are community members who will print parts for you. Now, again, if you have a friend who's really good with a 3D printer, they can do this for you as well. Or if, like I said, if you yourself have a 3D printer and you become pretty comfortable with it, they have this option for you. Now, the documentation also supports correct orientation while on the printer, as well as tips and tricks that are necessary to get a successful print out of it. Again, those are going to be in the CAD files as well. Okay. Now let's talk about what Authentikit is. Again, Authentikit Flight Controls are kits that are only available for self-assembly. Now this next part is very, very important. However, they are not do-it-yourself projects that require cutting, drilling, soldering, etc. Okay, they require only a screwdriver and a pair of scissors, and require similar skills to that of Legos. Those are the ones that really come up to mind. So if you've ever bought a Lego kit and you've been able to put it together just fine, then you will do just fine with this. Okay, I will tell you that when mine came in, the universal USB hub, one of the Ethernet connections, had gotten pushed in during shipping, and so I had to take it apart, take the top off, the top two plates off, and it was no fault. This is not a bad development or anything like that. Literally, something must have pushed on it just right, where it pushed the tabs in as it was designed to do, and allowed the Ethernet connection to go through. All I did was lift the top off, pinch the tabs closed again, so that way I could push it through the receiving hole, and it locked back into place. No problems whatsoever. It doesn't wiggle. It's not loose. Nothing like that. So it's perfect assembly. And this last line I really enjoy. These projects are for your kitchen table, not a workshop. So that should put hopefully some of you at ease if you are someone who is not very comfortable with DIY things. This is not what I would call DIY. So now let's talk about those of you who really are into this kind of stuff and what it is they do. So first, let's go over to the products page. So here, we're just going to go straight to their downloads page. This is where you would download all of your CAD files, installation guides, parts lists, etc. Okay, and you can see the products they already have. Spitfire, there's 16 products. The Mark 1A, two products. Let's see here, the Mark 9, 5 products, blah, blah, blah. You guys can see what they've got going on here. The rig and hub, tools and utilities. and non-standard add-ons, right? So, for example, let's go with our P-51 Mustang, because that's what we're at the moment. Here's all the stuff we have right now. P-51 Mustang Throttle, which we're going to be showcasing here on the channel. You guys have already seen it. Flap indicator, as well as a Mustang pedestal. This is the one that I'm really hoping that I get a copy of. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge to the boss here. You know who I'm talking to. I hope you're watching this. So you have everything that you guys need. Everything is in these. Like, if, for example, if we click on the Mustang Throttle, look at all the stuff that's here. Here's everything that's included. All 3D printable CAD files are in STL or 3MF format, wiring diagram, bill of materials, so everything that you need to buy in order to assemble it, assembling steps, print batches document showing an image of all the parts and their orientation for printing, felt templates, and an inventory of the screws you can cross-check which screw size were used where. So they've really gone above and beyond to make sure that this is as seamless as possible and that everything you need is at the ready. Simply download it and all the documentation is there and consistent. Now, obviously you would need this as well as the USB hub, as that's what it's designed to use. But again, if you're someone who's able to get all this stuff together, this is a perfect way to do it. Now, if you are on the opposite end, and like, for example, me, I'm terrible with my 3D printer, mostly just because I never have time to dive in and look at it. So someone like me who just, I'm not very good with my 3D printer. I'm not. It would be more of a headache and it would take all the fun right out of it. You have an option on all of these to go here. This is for us, you people in the US. Right now, there is a sale running $150 for your entire P-51 throttle starter kit. Okay, now you can see everything that comes with it. $150, and it actually comes out to $250 after you've gotten the 3D parts printed. Okay, so this has everything except for, so for example, if we view it, let's take a look and see what comes with it. Here's everything that comes with it, right? So there's all the parts list that we were talking about earlier. So it's $150 for that. And then the 3D printed parts, if you wanted get 3 printed, you fill out the information and you can see it's $100 to have it printed. So it would come out to right around $250 and you would get the hub, the extension arm, or the mounting pieces, excuse me, and the throttle. Okay, and then again, I cannot stress enough, I'm going to keep saying this for a minute, it is very easy to assemble the stuff once you have it all. There's documentation, and there are a couple of videos out there that really walk you guys through, and you guys can see how easily it gets put together. Maybe for my next one, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, again to the developer, if you're watching this, we can send me a kit, and I can do an assembly video so you guys can see just truly how easily all this stuff comes together. I really am astounded by it. It's such a well-designed product, and it really adds a ton of fun. Who are these kind of products for? Well, these kind of products are for those of you who really like authenticity in your flight controls. You want to have a setup. If you're flying the Spitfire, you want it to feel like the Spitfire. If you're flying the P-51 Mustang, you want it to feel like the P-51 Mustang. Now, one of the really cool pieces in all of this, you guys, that I can already give you a heads up on that you're going to see later on in the video and hear more of, though, is that especially for virtual reality, I flew the P-51D Mustang in DCS World, did a couple of strafing runs that you guys are going to see on some trucks, but it was really cool seeing the exact same thing that I was feeling with my hands. Much like if you guys have the Thrustmaster Warthog and you've ever flown the A-10C. It is an exact replica of that aircraft. So being able to have everything look the same way that it feels, if that makes sense, really adds a lot. And again, you guys, if you have the resource to do this yourself, you can save yourself a ton of money by being able to put this all out. So for anybody who starts going, oh, he's just trying to sell stuff, he's just trying to sell, the stuff is for free. Essentially, you can do everything here for free and go out and buy the parts yourself. Like I said, if you know someone who has a 3D printer, even if you don't have one yourself, or you know someone who's skilled, or there are tons of companies out there that you can outsource to 3D print the stuff yourself, and then you can go out and buy everything else at your own cost and save, again, a ton of money. So this is an awesome thing. The $250 is just if you want someone else to do absolutely everything else for you except for assemble it, and you just want to get your Lego box and put it together yourself. Okay, that's what the $250 would look like. And if you guys have ever seen the price of a Lego kit right now, trust me, these guys are cheaper than Legos are. Okay, for something of this caliber. Anyway, so that is who Authentikit is. Let's talk about one last thing, and that is a sale that is going on. So let's check this out, you guys. This is directly from the developer of Authentikit. If people want an all-exclusive kits part that we just discussed of the P-51 Throttle, there's a special $249 promotion running for U.S. customers this winter. Expires on the first day of spring. SimKit Supplies, who makes the kits of the hardware, have cut a price down to $150 and made arrangements with experienced Authentikit community members in the USA via the Community Approach Printing Scheme, if you guys will, to print the body parts for $99 plus shipping. Okay, so there is shipping costs included there, but that's okay. You guys got to think about how light 3D printing parts are. Okay, so when you worry about shipping, remember that you're shipping pieces of plastic. Okay, at the end of the day, so it's not going to be a ridiculous amount to have it shipped. At least it shouldn't be. That's a total of $249. Okay, and this includes everything to make the throttle and the universal hub PC interface to connect to your PC. It even includes the screwdrivers. Just go to the link that I showed you guys before, and I'll have a link to it down in the description to order the hardware and put the details for your printed parts in the inquiry box below. All right, so really awesome sale, really awesome setup. And the thing I love the most about Authentikit is this gentleman really, and this community really seems to be going out of their way. It's not just a matter of here it is, print it. They are organizing everything. They're setting up resources. They've set up links. They've worked with partners and said, hey, here's what we want to put together for everybody. Can we do this? So they've done all the legwork for you guys. And that's why that I'm being such an advocate for these guys right now. I am a huge flight sim enthusiast. If anybody has caught anything from my channel, I would hope at the very least it is that. I love all of the hardware. I love playing with all the new stuff. I truly do. And I love seeing that the community, resources and the things that we put together as a community to make this stuff happen. It takes flight controls like this and takes devices like this and puts it back into the reach of the general consumer. Okay, so without further delay, let's go ahead and get into the assembly video for the mount, and I will show you guys how I have it mounted to my cockpit, and then we'll go into my feelings as I was flying and using it. The rest of this will all be voiceover activity, guys. So the footage has already been recorded. So you guys will get my raw feelings and results as I have had time to process and think about everything. And I will let you know the good and the bad. All right. So let's get started with the rest of the video. All right, you guys. So as we get into this, we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of this system. We're going to talk about the benefits to it a lot because there really are. And we're going to talk about some comparison to other products you may see. This is more of a show than a tell on how to do the assembly. It's really quite simple, guys. But I just wanted you to have some sort of visual reference on how this all comes together. Now, one of the things I want to put at your minds at ease with right now, this is a monitor mount, which means we're not mounting a monitor to our desk, so it's going to be inverted, okay? Which means that those two metal rings that you're about to see there that create the tension, that are the clamp essentially, would normally be touching your desktop. I want you guys to know that if you mount it the way I'm going to show you at the end of the video, or at the end of the assembly process, you guys will see that Authentikit already thought of that. And the universal hub has a flat plastic plate on it that would be between those metal rings and the desktop or your tabletop. So the metal tensioners will never actually touch your tabletop, so you don't have to worry about them scratching it or leaving indentation marks on it, okay? So I do want to start there before anyone gets that concerned and goes, nope, this is a stupid idea. It's really not. So let's go on. As you guys watch the installation or the mounting assembly, I'll talk about certain points that you guys will want to be aware of. But for the most part, it's really just a watching so that way you guys can see how it all comes together. Now, as far as the mounting system goes, the mounting system is something that does have to be purchased separately. Now, I believe that this comes out to right about $100. It's essentially just a single monitor mount is what this one is, okay? But we're only using the control arm, and we're actually going to remove the VESA mount, which is where your monitor would normally mount. It's the square mount. We're going to be taking the VESA mount off here in a minute. But this is a really slick mount. Okay. It's only about $100. And what I want you guys to do is before you start going, wow, so there's another $100. I want you guys to understand that A, you're not required to use this. If you want to come up with your own mounting solution, that's your option. B, if you look at any of the major competitors, you look at Thrustmaster, you look at Virpil, you look at VKB, any of them, they almost never come with their own desk mount systems, right? And if they do, they're usually plastic and they usually can't withstand a whole lot, and they're usually a pain in the butt to move around. Okay. Where if you start getting into the actual mounting systems, the third-party mount, okay, let's talk about Monster Tech. Let's talk about Fox Mount. Let's talk about Virpil. And you guys know I have a relationship with Virpil and Thrustmaster. What I can tell you guys is that their desk mounts, if you look at their tabletop mounts, they're purchased separately and they're expensive. Now, Thrustmaster, I actually don't think sells one, but a lot of their kits will come with one, but they're usually plastic. Okay. Now, you guys know plastic breaks, right? And as much as we like to say it, you do always run the risk of bumping your flight controls, falling at something, hitting it, whatever, and you can break those clamps and then you don't have any way to mount it. Okay. Now, before anyone says anything, it happens in almost every video you guys see me on. The bracelet here that you guys are about to see on screen, there it is, was made by my daughter. It never comes off. It's my 6-year-old daughter who makes it, and it even says Dad. Okay. So that's why I wear it. Get used to seeing it. I wear it proudly everywhere I go. So anyway, now for the mounting arm, I told you guys we were going to take the VESA mount off, and it's very simple. Just pull the caps off. And then you just take your Allen wrench that comes with it, by the way. Just take your Allen wrench, remove that Allen bolt, and that'll pull the VESA section off. And I also recommend taking off the wire clips that are on the arm. You don't need them as well. We're interested for the post. Now, something I want to tell you guys really cool, it's about the post that you guys will see later on in the video as I'm flying, is I have actually found a way to mount this to my cockpit, as you guys saw in the beginning of the video. What's really cool about it is I can move the throttle out of my way if I don't want to use it. Okay, I can literally turn it, and the way that the clipping system works too, and the whole mount is the throttle itself will actually slide right off. So when if I feel like the P-51 throttle is in my way, I can literally just lift up from the bottom. There's enough tension where it does not move while I'm flying and while I'm using it, but there's enough tension to hold it, and there's not too much tension where I can't just simply lift it up and take it off and set it on the floor or maybe on a shelf or whatever you guys have and gets it out of your way. You can just disconnect it and move it aside and put it somewhere safe until you want to use it again. And especially if you're someone who's going to want to, have access to other products. All right, so now you guys are going to sort of see everything that comes with this particular kit. Now remember, a lot of the entire unit was pre-assembled for me, right? But you guys at least get to see the shell. You guys get to see the cables that are necessary. Like I said, it uses Cat5 cable to integrate between the USB hub and the device. These are the clamping mechanisms if you have a round post that you want to mount it to. And then as well as you guys will see, there's the clamp that's actually holding mine on right now to the arm. Okay. And what's really cool is that at the end of the clamp, I don't know that I showed this in the video, so I do want to talk about that. But that second piece that I set down there, the U joint there, or U clamp, you can see the two holes at the top of it. It actually drives a screw and bolt through the top of it to create the tension, keeps it from being able to slide or rock. So it does secure it very, very nicely to the mounting arm. Now, as we get into this, guys, at this point, I'm sort of just going to start tearing things apart, opening up bags, opening up the cables. You guys are going to see me sort of assemble things, and then I'm going to show you guys how it all is designed to sit on the tabletop, because you guys aren't going to see it all put together on the tabletop with me. But remember, I was telling you guys earlier in the video that you didn't have to worry about the metal clamps actually touching your tabletop, and you guys are going to see why here in just a minute here. As we pull the universal hub out, you can see that flat piece right down at the end of it that briefly showed up. Don't worry, you're going to get a better image of that here in just a second, where it shows the bigger portion here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the USB hub. You can see everything's printed real nicely. Now you guys can see right there, you guys can see the Cat5 piece that folded inside of the box. Okay, now I'm going to show you guys that fixed here. Okay, so hindsight being 2020, I wish that I had showed the whole process on camera, but all I did was take those 4 screws up on top off, those 2 little top plates come off, and all I did was push the Ethernet port back in the box, and you guys can see how it connects there. You can see the tab sticking out. And it's sound insecure. Like I said, during shipment, something must have probably pushed it in. Now, that flat plate that I just pointed at, that's where the mounting clamps go for the desk mount, right? So you guys are going to see, I'm going to do real quick high level view of what that looks like here. So stay tuned for that here. It's going to come up right now. So let me get the mount. And you guys will see that it never, you guys can probably already tell how this works. The metal tension screws hit the plastic flash there instead of your actual tabletop. So you guys are going to see all of that here in just a moment. All right, so here you guys can see the mount. Move it over so it's in a better spot here. And that, you guys can already tell how this works. So like I said, the two metal rings never actually touch your desk surface, tabletop surface. So you don't have to worry about any compression marks or scratches or anything like that coming from those mounts. Because remember, those on the way that this mount, it's a monitor mount. So normally those would be under the desk. So I did want to set you guys at ease. That's how it's designed to go. Now you can use anything you want. A spare piece of plastic, maybe a piece of wood, whatever you want to go underneath that. Which brings us to the final product, guys. Once again, as you saw at the beginning of the video, we're gonna go a little bit further in depth. So up there behind the throttle. So first off, look at the mount. You can see how I've mounted it to the top of my cockpit. You can see the movement arm there that it's attached to. So you have the ability to create some flexibility and also height adjustment there. Again, since I'm not using a desk mount, I've put the universal hub on the floor for right now. I'm going to be doing something completely different. I'm going to be making some very serious modifications to this cockpit in the next coming weeks as I now have a welder. Here you can see the Ethernet ports, and you can see that they are labeled, I believe, of H8 and H2 there, and then you have the corresponding numbers down on the hub. So again, they make it very, very easy to determine where things go and how it all plugs in, and it makes it work very, very nicely. Now, one of the cons that I do want to mention right away that I did notice is as I had it plugged into my USB hub, I noticed a lot of ghosting inside the simulator, and that is usually a power draw issue. When I moved it to be plugged in directly to my PC, that seemed to alleviate that, but I did want you to be aware that it took place. All right, so we are in the P-51D for DCS world, as we talked about earlier. There she is, the throttle in her glory. Center my camera here. So now you guys can see the movement is just perfect. 1-to-1. Same thing with the gun sight range. Just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to take the P-51 here in DCS. And by the way, as I said earlier, this translates the same to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Everything is absolutely 1-to-1. It works beautifully. I've had no issues with it. Everything works great. Group of Spitfires there. So we're gonna do a takeoff. We're gonna get the engine started, do a takeoff, go do some strafe on some trucks, and bring it back home. So let's just go have some fun with this aircraft. So let's get our battery on. Let's close the canopy because we all know that's gonna get loud. And let's get things started here. So let's see here. I'm still getting that muscle memory down. Fuel on. Okay, let's do magnetos. Let's prime it. And let's give her a start. I hate that it does this. There we go. Damn it. There. Oh, crap. Let's do this quickly. Prop to full. She's chugging. We're running, but I'm not convinced that we're really running. Nope, we're not. All right, so let's take that back up. Oh, let's turn the fuel boost pumps on. Magneto's back on. Starter switch covered. Prime it. There she goes. Much better. All right. Let's do this. Dancing that tail rail. Come back to the right a little bit more. Alright. Wheels up. RPM's coming back. You can see how easily I'm able to tune the RPMs just right. Manifold pressure. I probably spend more time in the flyby views than I do in the cockpit. Oh, you know what? I don't think... I never turned the generator on. Oops. And we've just got a group of targets out there. Again, just a line of trucks. I think there's a couple tanks. I don't expect me to be able to hit anything, but we'll see how it goes. There we are setting the range. So normally what you would do, you set your range here, and then you would also set the wingspan of your target. This is really nice, so if you're in a gunfight with an aircraft, you'd be coming in, turning in on it, and as the range is closing or decreasing, you would be twisting the throttle handle here. And I believe this is actually a mic switch here, but I use it to center my VR view. Watching our temps there. Suction's a little low. Alright, let's try that again. After all that, I think I tapped one once. This feeling is so cool. This is so awesome. And you can even get real crazy if you want, especially with DCS. There it is. Although that is a tiny hand. How are my temps looking? Alright, let's take the range as low as possible. Uh-oh, now we're getting pegged. Well, I definitely need some practice with my strafing. But you guys, the finite control and the ability I have to easily control this aircraft is absolutely fantastic. Again, the ability to very easily dial it in. If I want 2,500 RPMs, right on the money. I can tap it right on. If I want 34 inches of manifold pressure, there it is, 34 inches of manifold pressure. They are absolutely fantastic pieces of equipment that require very little expenditure when you think about the comparison of this stuff, guys. This throttle right here down below me is the Virpil CM3. Guys, it is it's a lot, okay? When you look at what the Thrustmaster Warthog costs, when you look at the all the different units that are out there, if you can outsource it yourself, if you can go and buy the parts yourself, you're going to save a ton of money, and the assembly couldn't be easier. I mean, it's an easy kit. I highly recommend you guys check this out. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are. Obviously, you know, like I said, it's got some flex to it. It is plastic at the end of the day. You need to remember that. But this feels good. And I don't feel like I'm dragging a piece of plastic when I'm actually up here flying. Okay, when I'm actively paying attention to it and I'm looking at it, yes, it's plastic. But it also looks really freaking cool and really helps with the immersion of this simulator and with Microsoft Flight Simulator's version of the P-51. So as always, you guys, let me know what your comments are down below. Stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.